Trophy Smack is the absolute best place if you're looking for some fantasy football trophies. Last place trophies, first place trophies, bust of Patrick Mahomes. They even got some nice wrestling singlets that say some, not so nice things about fantasy football. But guys, everything you need for your fantasy football league, head over to trophysmack.com/dudes. 15% off your whole entire order, guys. Go over to Trophy Smack. Tell them the dude sent you. You won't be sorry. You got to have a trophy for that fantasy football league.
What is up, my dudes? Today's episode, we're going over our dudes and duds. Draft month is almost over. NFL kickoff is right around the corner. I am joined here today by Jordan, Phil, and Seth. Phil is back. Guys, how's everybody doing? I had a little accident with the Blackstone today on the, little mini Blackstone that Phil likes to make fun of. Got
beta Blackstone.
Got a couple blisters from burning myself cooking bacon. I'm just glad I had a shirt on, or it would have been a lot worse. But I'm okay. And
did you better. Dump the pan out on yourself?
I probably had about 20 pieces of bacon on there, and I just kept going. And
when the square footage of that thing is 2 inches by 2 inches, like there's not much bacon. Like it's literally
thing as like an apron,
Yeah.
I had a t-shirt on, Seth. I bet you do have an apron.
Trent, what'd you do?
I was doing BLTs, so I just had a bunch of bacon. Like we had a bunch of bacon that was about to go bad.
And how'd you get
just all the grease, and it just splattered all over my shirt and all over my leg.
Have you never cooked bacon before, Jordan?
I actually haven't cooked bacon before, for what it's worth. I'm not a bacon guy.
Oh my! You're not a bacon guy?
I mean, I'll eat bacon, but it's not my favorite thing.
Wow, I'm not.
I'll eat it. I'm not saying I won't eat. If I'm at your house for breakfast, Phil, you said, "Here, you want some bacon?" I'd say yes. But
you won't make bacon.
I won't make bacon. I won't go out of my way to order bacon at a restaurant.
I'm not. So I'm not like one of those freaks, but first bacon type wearing shirt people. Like those people annoy me. Like this type of people that were into like that crazy cooking channel on YouTube, Epic Mealtime. Anyhow, they would just add tons of bacon. I love bacon so much so that when we go to Costco, you buy the 4-pack, right? You get the Costco 4-pack. And then you also get, have you seen this? You can buy cooked bacon that lasts like a couple of weeks, which is actually really nice to have. And it's actually a better deal than the frozen bacon. It's delicious. I'd strongly recommend it. Nice smoky flavor to it. Throw it in your omelets, BLTs, Trent, so you're not getting blisters all over yourself. And Jordan, since you're not a bacon cooking guy, maybe you can be a baking enjoying guy by just having it, just warm it up in the microwave or in the air fryer.
Here's the deal. Bacon in the air fryer is a cheat code. I like bacon. If you had to offer me though, to be honest, this was like my third time ever making bacon. So I'm kind of on Jordan's side. I don't mind bacon.
Thank you, Seth.
Bacon. But if you said when I go to IHOP or Denny's, fine breakfast establishments, I get sausage over bacon every time. I don't know if you guys are like it.
Yeah, thank you, Seth. Thank you, Seth. Thank you again for schooling these imbeciles. What are we talking about here?
Are you with me?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Here it goes. In terms of if you're going breakfast burrito, it's chorizo all day. Chorizo all day. If you're going anything outside of chorizo, it's bacon and sausage. It's not just one or the other. You're doing both.
I like bacon with other stuff more than I like bacon by itself.
Yeah, like in a burger, bacon wrapped dog.
Burger, yeah, stuff like that. I prefer bacon in stuff like bacon in the fried rice. I prefer bacon in stuff more than bacon off the grill by itself type of deal.
I see what you're saying. I can understand. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. No, there's
a lot like eating it with your hands because you can't really eat it with a fork, right? No one's eating. You're grabbing bacon with your hand.
It is probably one of the best things that you can just add to food, and it's usually pretty good. I don't know if there's a lot of things I don't like bacon on, like bacon on donuts. Not huge on that. Other than that, you like it on that, but other than that, I feel like most foods, not desserts, I like bacon on it. If you had bacon, I will put it on there. I'm not crazy over give me but first bacon, bacon on everything, like beans from Even Stevens. He loved bacon. I'm not that far into it.
We should do a lineup, your 3-4 hitters for your lineup, Trent, for what you'd put on food is probably, I would say you probably have bacon in your 3 spot and then bacon in your 4 hole. Or excuse me, bacon in your 3 spot and ketchup in your 4 hole. Your cheese, ketchup's your cleanup batter.
Cheese is up there.
Yeah, that could
You
be
can put
that could be
cheese
your
on almost
lead off.
everything.
That could be your
Cheese
lead off.
might be
His leadoff is
cheese might
Mountain
be the
Dew.
most valuable like
It's
thing
the
you can add to
laxative.
foods.
His 9 spot is the laxative he takes at the end of the
So
meal.
so Trent,
So we can
if you
start
could
over
choose
again.
cheese or ketchup, what are you choosing?
I think I would choose cheese.
No, Trent,
I put
we need
cheese.
9.
I put
We need
shredded
9.
cheese on almost everything.
We need 9. Give us
I
your
need-
lineup.
I need.
No,
to
just
this
get
more.
from the hip. From the hip. Let's go.
From the hip. Let's say
You have 9 spots.
this is not fair to not let me
No,
prepare
it's
for this
fine.
and judge me about it my whole entire life.
It's fine. Just do it.
Just like
Or
ultimate side
be a man,
dish.
be a man for once in your life and just
No,
dude,
you don't
it's
even.
fine.
I'm gonna go cheese.
Oh, hold on. You have to be strategic also. You know, in a batting order, like you have to be
Phil,
strategic.
we don't want
batters
this is
go.
gonna
No,
take
no.
10 minutes under your
No,
camera.
yeah.
Seth,
gonna go-
you're the baseball guy here on the pod. Trent
Cheese
needs to be
probably
strategic.
needs to go
Okay.
on. Cheese probably needs to go on last because you kind of want to sprinkle it on the
Okay,
top.
that's entirely different than a baseball lineup. Just
Okay.
do your best to put together a baseball lineup. You have 9
to give me
things.
nine
Let's
things.
go.
That is
Come
very
on.
hard. How about 4?
I'll
do
give you
4.
6. We'll meet at 6.
Without doing any research at all, I don't have any other tabs pulled up. I'm going to say cheese.
Is the number 1 spot?
Other thing I would throw on stuff is probably a salsa.
Okay.
Maybe tomatoes would be a better thing to say.
No.
Tomatoes?
Is better. Salsa is
I'm
better.
trying to. You're throwing
Cheese
like all
salsa,
kinds of food. You're
cheese
throwing
salsa.
all kinds of foods at me right now. Like everything.
Just go.
Like something I'd take on a deserted island. I'm going to say cheese, beans.
So no salsa or salsa still?
I'm not going to do salsa. Cheese, beans, and probably ketchup just for the brand.
Content.
And one more thing.
You have 2 more. You have 3 more.
I thought I said 4.
Bacon is 1. So bacon.
I'll throw
4.
bacon
So
in there,
2
yeah.
others.
Kind of like sour cream lately.
No. I think that's a great. That's a great call. That's a great
So I'm
call.
gonna do that. I'm
Just
gonna go.
explain
I'm
what
gonna
I
go.
saw Trent do today, though.
What I do?
Wait, give your 6th spot. Hold on. What's your 6th spot?
Oh my gosh.
Sprinkles. No.
Okay, Seth, go. Seth, go.
Okay,
That line-
this is so embarrassing. So we're at work. Okay, on Tuesdays we have a meeting, so lunch is provided. We have Mexican food. Okay, so we have enchiladas. Trent grabs his enchilada. Okay, like a normal person, puts it on his plate.
It was a wet burrito. For first off, so I don't know if anything else on this story is true, but keep going.
Trent, that's an enchilada. Anyways, so you
With chili verde, yeah, chili verde enchiladas are very popular. You're right. My bad.
Just let
Yeah,
him
that's
finish
a
the
thing.
story, dude.
But so he puts it on his plate, okay? Proceeds to open the fridge, gets out a plastic, the cheese that's in plastic, okay? Puts that on there, puts it in the microwave, melts it down, and then covers the thing in ketchup. And I was just like, wow. Like, what did I just see? Like, I can't believe this is real. And honestly, I just felt bad for anyone who enjoys Mexican food with just the atrocity that I saw. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, this thing is covered in cheese,
Yeah.
but of course
Second
he
of
has
all,
that as
Seth was eating
American
kale.
yellow
If you want to
slab
hang
on
out with
there.
him, tell me
And
he
then
grabbed
down
No,
with
he
it
did
with
not.
ketchup.
Seth,
Yeah.
he did not add an American slab on there.
No, that is a lie. That is a straight up lie.
That's just- I mean, I wish I took a picture, guys. It looked insane.
Yeah, people might
actually
believe you if
hilarious.
you took a picture.
I feel more
Uh,
bad for his desk mate, man. That was probably a rough afternoon.
Oh yeah. Hey, we've all been there, man. We've all been there.
This is the reason why Trent's office is closest to the toilet.
Yeah, I have actually measured which bathroom is closest to my desk. It's
And
so I
you know what
actually
he
got in
told
an
me
argument
today?
with
He said
Seth's
there's
brother
not enough
about
bathrooms in this office, and I was like, "You're right."
it. There's not.
Oh no, actually,
There's not.
so here's the thing. I've been to that office a handful of times, and there is like a bathroom upstairs, right? Like maybe one other, and there's like just a stall and a urinal,
There's
right?
two.
So there's
The
2.
two still?
Yeah.
Trent?
But it's not
Two and
multiple
two.
stalls.
Two
It's
on each
just,
side. Two on each side. Yeah.
oh, there
Oh,
are.
they've
Okay.
added some then.
Yeah. So there's the 2. Yeah. So
That's
it's
still not,
enough,
I
though.
would agree with you.
Everyone downstairs comes upstairs when they got to blow the place up. So it's like we basically just have one that's, just for like, not for the faint of heart to keep this as PG as possible. But keeping this as PG as possible, we're going to hop in. I want to redo that. I'm going to come back next week with my top favorite foods. I'm going to just be able to shoot from the hip. It'll be a lot better.
A lineup, a strategic
Hot
lineup.
Cheetos may or may not be in that lineup.
No.
But today's
wait,
episode,
hold
we
on,
are
hold on,
going
hold
through-
on. One more thing. Talking about Trent's decisions on food. Seth, one of your actually all of your relatives, one of your relatives sends me a picture of this guy with a hot Cheeto covered corn dog What in the
That's
world
real.
are you thinking?
That
What
is
was
real.
that?
It was at a hot dog truck at the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, go big or go little, Phil.
The crazy
best
part
part
was
is
that thing didn't even make it longer than 10 seconds.
Yeah, one
And that
bite.
the
thing
best
was
part
like,
is I look at Trent with it and I'm like, what is that? And he said something and he goes, it's honestly not as good as I thought it was gonna be. And I was like,
but it was still
Yeah.
big
gone.
Trent.
I'm shocked Phil hated it. It was dipped in nacho cheese. So, like, yeah, whatever, Phil.
Here's the
pull
thing.
the log out of your own eye, you hypocrite.
The weirdest thing about this guy is, yes, it has corn in the name, corn dog, but he eats corn dogs like corn on the cob. I've never seen someone eat a corn dog with two hands. He eats it like corn on the cob. He takes the
All
stick
right,
out.
Phil, I wish you'd go back to Seattle. You're already annoying me. Today's episode, we are going over our dudes and duds for the season. Phil's going to be quarterbacking this. We got two starts, we got two of our dudes, and those are guys that we're like trying to grab in every single draft. Might give one sleeper at the end. And then do we all have duds? Jordan, do you have two duds or you just have one?
I got two.
You have two. Okay, we got two dudes, like guys we're going to try to leave every draft with, and then two guys we're not going to leave that we are not going to draft, even if there is a fire. Phil, do you want to start us off in this thing, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to start off with you, Trent. I'm going to go with one of your dudes here. I think you have a little graphic here that you can pull up on the screen. You want to start with Diontae Johnson, my friend?
Yeah, let's start. So number one for my dudes, I have Diontae Johnson, and actually, like, I feel I'm kind of getting excited for the Panthers. I've kind of been on this bandwagon all off season. Ever since the Dave Canales hire, I've been on this bandwagon, I would say. I even like Chuba Hubbard, but I'm not going to talk about Chuba Hubbard. I did that on my little solo pod on Monday. You might want to go check that out if you listen to the podcast. Remember, don't be rude, share the dudes. Give us a follow at TFF Dudes on X, Instagram, and YouTube. Like I said, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Remember, don't be rude, share the dudes. Really helps out. Diontae Johnson, ADP 74. Now, Panthers receivers were the worst in the league at creating separation last year. That didn't stop Adam Thielen, though, from finishing as wide receiver 17 in PPR. He averaged 13.6 fantasy points per game. I got that info from my buddy at PPR Fantasy Tips. But Adam Thielen, look what he did last year. I think Diontae Johnson will be even better at this. It's going to be a better scheme. Offensive line should be a little bit better. Diontae is one of the league's best separators. He had success rate of 75% versus man coverage last year. And I think Bryce Young is an upgrade from Kenny Pickett. So one of the top players in the league at getting open. If he can cut down his 6.3% drop rate, I think he'd be really good. Just a PPR machine. And I think Canales is going to take Bryce Young to the next level, and I think Diontae Johnson is going to play a big part in that. So I feel kind of weird. I feel like this is Jordan's like dude every single year is Diontae Johnson. I finally was like, I did a draft on Monday, and Diontae Johnson was, I don't even think he got drafted, but it was one of those weird leagues where like you get limited on positions. So like I had 4 wide receivers. And I always forget that, but my 4th wide receiver was Cooper Kupp, so I'm not able to get Diontae Johnson. I actually think I'm going to try to trade DJ Moore, or Cooper Kupp, see if I can get a little bit at the running back position and pick up Diontae Johnson because he's that good. But I love where he's going. Like I said, ADP 74. I don't think you can go wrong with that. And I usually have DJ Moore here. I think Diontae, though, in this system, I think he could really shock some people. Jordan, kind of what are you thinking of that? I know you're kind of like Diontae Johnson fanboy.
No, I don't have. I think I have Diontae Johnson in a dynasty in my dynasty league, but like other than that, I did 20 plus best balls. I don't have him in any. I just if I'm taking Panthers wide receivers, I'm taking Xavier Leggett, or I'm taking like a Jatavion Sanders real late. I don't hate like Bryce Young. Like in general, I kind of like the Panthers is like late round guys. I don't know like where Diontae Johnson's going. There's guys that I think I like better in that range. I just don't find myself with a lot of them. I was absolutely shocked when I saw you were going to have this as one of your dudes. Just because I don't know, like here's my thing with that. Like I don't trust Bryce Young. That's why I don't mind like the late guys with him. I don't know. It's a little too rich for my blood. If he was going, I think
too much of a sleeper for you.
No, he's just too rich for my like. I don't know. I think he's getting drafted too high. To be honest, I don't. I don't want to. I don't mean to disagree with you. Or like, I
Yeah.
think like if he was getting drafted like in the like 2 rounds later, I think I'd like it a little more. Like I'm
You
just
like in
trying
the
to think
ninth?
of like,
You're thinking like in the ninth?
yeah,
Maybe.
like I'm just trying to think like. So you say 74 is his
I see 84 for overall ADP for ADP for PPR, he's at 84 from Fantasy Pros. Like in a
okay.
consensus, just for what it's
Trent,
worth.
where are you sourcing
I'm
the ADP from? Just for
I
reference.
have Fantasy Pros and I have them at 74 on mine, and it is this is best ball rankings though, so that might be maybe that's why. That's kind
Oh,
of what
you
I've
have
been
it.
going off of
Okay.
just because. So I'm
Uh,
guessing that is PPR.
so he's like 85 for half point, but like, so for example, and I don't want to. No, I'll just
No,
wait
it's
to say
fine.
that. But like Jaden Reed's in that same area. I think I'd prefer him. There's another guy that I'll talk about in a little bit that's in that same area. I don't know. I
You
don't think
look
it's
on
bad, Trent.
yeah,
I don't know.
I think like you look at these reception perception charts, like all the routes he can run, like he's green on everything. There's no red. Like these
No,
routes he can,
Trent,
yeah.
it's not Diontae Johnson I don't
It's
like.
you're worried about Bryce Young.
I'm worried about Bryce Young and like it just feels I don't know.
I'm getting more and more optimistic about Bryce Young. Like I just can't make myself go out there and reach on him, but like I feel like he's going to be a lot better this year.
No, I have Bryce Young in best ball like as like a late guy, but like I guess my point is that like Diontae Johnson needs it. He's a type of receiver, in my opinion, that needs a quarterback that can get him the like. He's not. He can't like some receivers can get away with bad quarterbacks because they're physical freaks that can just go up and get the ball, right?
Yeah.
Where Diontae Johnson's a good route runner, gets the ball in space. Like that takes like accurate quarterbacks to get him the ball. If that makes sense, like he's not a go up and get it wide receiver. He's more of a route runner, possession receiver. I just question if Bryce Young can do that. Like, I don't know. I honestly hope you're right, Trent. Like I'm a big Diontae Johnson guy. So
Yeah. Well, I think I think Bryce Young is an upgrade from Kenny Pickett. I think so. Like I think he's going to be put in situations with Canales and like Kenny Pickett, like last year did he get hurt last year? What happened with Diontae Johnson? Was it just because I'm not even seeing where he finished last year, but
it's just a down year, I think, for him.
Yeah, and bad quarterback play. So I did read that he got a little bit better after Matt Canada left. That he went up a little bit, but yeah, I don't want to spend too much time.
The other thing, Trent, is that I feel like he's never really been the number one receiver. His best year was in 21.
And he had who was number one then? Was Pickens there yet? I don't know if Pickens was there.
Wasn't there, but there was
was Juju there?
It was like Claypool. Claypool was there, and
Juju was there.
It had to have been Juju, yeah. Juju had to have been there too.
Yeah. So I got.
But that was also Ben Roethlisberger too. That was Roethlisberger.
Yeah, just peppering him. So,
I think that there's some good points there. Do you want me to move? Can we move on here to Seth's?
Yeah, go Seth.
Seth, we're going to talk about your dude Drake London here at wide receiver.
Yeah, so Drake London, I'm fully buying into the hype with Kirk Cousins behind here. He has had two, I will say, underwhelming seasons. He came in to the league as a pretty hyped, like wide receiver prospect, and I think he does have that ability to be a possession receiver and a freak. I think there's easily finishes in the top 10 this year with Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball. Like I said, I'm fully buying into the hype of it. Even like the longevity of his career. Them drafting Michael Penix, I think is great for Drake London. But anyways, they're gonna have Kirk Cousins for a while. But like the last 2 years, he finished with 905 yards and 866, 2 touchdowns and 4. So not something that you really want out of your top receiver. But as far as props go for this year, he's going around with like 6 receiving touchdowns is the line, and it's about 1,000 receiving yards and 81 receptions. I think he easily goes over that this year. He's going to be the main target in the passing game. The only thing that scares me a little bit is the amount of usage with Bijan, but I think this is totally fine how this offense is going to work, because I think it's going to be somewhat similar to the 49ers. They were able to support Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel, and also while Christian McCaffrey was literally the best player in the league. So I think Drake London's worth his ADP spot. I think this ADP that Trent has over here is best ball, whereas I've been seeing him closer around 21, which is the second round. Every time I'm in a draft and Drake London's available in the second round, I'm taking him 100%. 100% of every time. I like him as my second receiver, usually drafting a receiver in the first round. Like I said, I think this guy, if he has a great season, I think is a potential candidate of being a first round draft pick next year. So,
yeah, Drake London, his success rate on slants, he's 82%. So like you can be really good in the NFL doing that stuff. Very good against man coverage, very good against zone coverage. His numbers should go up with a new quarterback. And I even think if Cousins gets hurt, like I think Penix, you're not going to have that big of a drop off if you have a drop off at all. So like he's been having Desmond Ridder throw him the ball, and he put up 900 yards last year. So
yeah,
I like London too. I
think.
What are you
Go
saying,
ahead,
Jordan?
Trent. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
was just going to go to my own fantasy team with Drake London. But if you have something like more,
no,
relevant,
I think like you said that. Like I think the biggest thing that Kirk Cousins does for Drake London is touchdown equity. Like it shocks me that he only had 2 touchdowns last year. Like it doesn't even make sense with a guy with his size and like his athleticism to go up and get it. Like he only had 2 touchdowns last year. He hasn't had 1,000 yards in either season. I mean, like his percentage of targets caught isn't great. 110 targets last year, 69 catches. Like that's what, like a little over 50%. Like that doesn't feel great for a guy like him to me. I think his touchdown equity is going to increase a lot this year. I just think Kirk Cousins, that's where I think the biggest beneficiary of Kirk Cousins is. Even if he doesn't go over that 1,000 yard, he seems like a guy who should have 8 touchdowns a year, just with his body type, build, go up and get it ability, and he's a good route runner too. Like he kind of really is a complete receiver. But no, I'm 100% with this one. I love this one. And my only note that I was gonna say, I know you brought it up, Trent. You have the best ball ADP up there. The disparity between like the best ball ADP and like redraft ADP is amazing to me.
Yeah,
it kind of shows you like how much sharper the best ball is compared to like redraft. I think that's just an interesting like thing to look at, because like the best ball, like I take Drake London, like I get a lot of like beginning of second round. Like I'll get the 9th pick and I end up with an AJ Brown and a Drake London teams, to start. But like it is interesting in a redraft that he falls so much lower. I would assume that's because of the running backs going higher in redraft than best ball.
Yeah, I almost got him in that home league, work league. He like fell all the way to the 5th round. Like I was going to get him.
That's stupid.
Like, it's just crazy.
But you also got like Cooper Kupp in the 4th rounder there or something like that.
Yeah, I ended up getting Cooper Kupp. I reached on DJ Moore in the 3rd round because I thought he was going to go sooner. But like ESPN,
you could have actually got. I could have
Drake
London and Cooper Kupp instead of DJ Moore.
Yeah, Drake London went in the 3rd, which was late where I had him, the back end of the 3rd.
Yeah.
So I was picked 10 in the 3rd. So like Drake London went pretty far back. That's why I ended up getting DJ Moore. Then I got Cooper Kupp. So yeah. But no,
I've seen Cooper Kupp go in the 1st round in best balls.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I do kind of like having the best ball ADP up there. I just think it's a little bit more, maybe it's a little higher. But I just I I took second place in my league last year, and we do keepers by where they were selected. And I've kind of gotten mixed results about what I should do here, but I have CMC I can keep at 111, which seems like a slam dunk to everybody, right? Or I can keep Drake London in the 5th round, which also is pretty good value. Or I can keep Devin Achane in the 10th. So like all those guys, like Achane I like the least, but like the Drake London pick or Olave in the 7th, I'm kind of like, those aren't terrible values. And, you know, those guys are very young and I can keep them in those low spots for a while. But, you know, you're playing to win this year, right? But the Drake London one in the 5th, I'm like, could this guy be like a wide receiver 4 on the season? You know what I'm saying? Or
what's your spot again in the 1st?
11. So McCaffrey at 111 is very good.
Yeah.
I still think you keep McCaffrey at 111.
Yeah, no, I know, but those are kind of fun to talk about at least, right? So
yeah. All right, Jordy. I know you've been talking a little bit here, but I know you have a dude that you are fired up on. Yeah, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Yeah, I got to just make sure that's the one you had. I had Terry McLaurin as my my first dude. I really like this guy a lot. I mean, I've talked about this Commanders offense so much this offseason, the last month or so, how much I love them. Terry's going to be the clear-cut number 1 option here. And I think that as much as I love their offense, I don't necessarily think they're going to be a good football team. So, like, I think they should be down in most games. They're going to throw a lot. I obviously am super high on Jaden Daniels this year. And if you look at what he's done the last few years, he's been pretty consistent. Like for the most part, considering like who his quarterbacks have been. So like his rookie year, 919 yards, 1,100, 1,050, 1,200, 1,000, 7, 4, 5, 5, 4 touchdowns. He's been pretty consistent considering that his quarterbacks have been Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins, Taylor Heineke, Sam Howell. He had Carson Wentz for a little bit. Like, these are not good quarterbacks, and he's still that 1,000-yard guy. I think Jaden Daniels is by far the most talented quarterback he's ever had. And I just really believe that, like, Terry McLaurin is going to be a top 12 wide receiver. This season, I have him being drafted as, like, a wide receiver 30. I mean, his ADP is 55 up here, Trent has. So, like, you can get him in the 5th, 6th round, and I think that he's primed for a really breakout year. Like, I think he's gonna like have the ceiling this year that he hasn't really had, and I think that mostly comes from just, I think, a little more touchdown equity with Jaden Daniels. So I'm really excited for Terry McLaurin this year. I mean, this year I have a ton of them, and I'm trying to get him. I'll try to get him in everything I can.
I like it. All righty, Trent, Seth, any rebuttals? I feel like we've been arguing over food, over basically everything. Do you want to say anything about Jordan's pick?
I like Terry McLaurin. I've been high on him too. I got him in a lot of best ball. I probably always kind of lean on getting Terry McLaurin. It hasn't always been as good as I think it should be. I almost had him as one of my guys. I feel like I've used him in the past though, but I just really like the quarterbacks. Even if Jaden Daniels isn't that good, I like to think he's an upgrade of what he has had. You know what I'm saying? And I think Jaden Daniels is going to be good for football. But, like, I think a rookie quarterback's going to come in here, and I think he's going to lean on McLaurin. And we don't know what's happening with Aiyuk still, right? They just got rid of Dotson.
Yeah.
Maybe they're
I mean,
clearing up space.
Obviously, if they traded for Aiyuk, that would change things for me a little bit, you know? But, like, as of right now, the guys they have in that room is De'Ami Brown, the corpse of Martavis Bryant, Luke McCaffrey. Like, there's just the corpse of Jamison Crowder. Like, there's just not guys in that room. Like, they're going to rely on a rookie tight end and the corpse of Zach Ertz. Like, there's just not much there. And I think they're going to use Terry quite a bit. They're going to get him in space. He's going to get peppered. He's going to get peppered with targets.
Yeah. And so even Jordan, I talked about this on my solo pod on Monday about just guys that I thought were going to overachieve their draft position, just fantasy values. I think even if Aiyuk comes, I think it's going to help you get Terry McLaurin even a little later, maybe by about a round.
Yeah.
and I still think he's really good value there. And I still think he can finish as a top 15, top 18 receiver if Brandon Aiyuk's there. I think they will both help each other. And I don't think it hurts him that bad. So I don't know if anyone else has anything they want to say.
It probably hurts like my bold take of him being a top 12 receiver though. Trent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
that is pretty.
I just think
bold.
he's gonna be that good, I think, this year.
He finished 37 last year?
Something like that. I just think he's always been super talented and he makes a lot of plays, and it's just, I mean, some of the balls that he gets thrown has been atrocious over the last few years.
It's his time is basically what you're saying.
I hope so. I hope it's his time. He's like the one Ohio State wide receiver that I feel like no one's even talking about. Is that place just straight up wide receiver you now? Like, with all these guys, it's safe to say, I think now.
They're loaded every year at wide receiver.
Every single year. Yeah. So, all right. I like that one.
We moving on here? You want to
let's move on.
Trent, you have one tight end on this list for your dudes. I think that there's been a lot of hype actually about Noah Fant coming into this year. So I'm disappointed that Seth specifically, you did not have him. He had 2 tight ends leave Seattle this year, and they used to rotate tight ends like crazy, but that offensive coordinator is no longer there. And so who knows what we end up getting in Seattle. I think Noah Fant has the potential of being a dude. Seth, I feel like you should be agreeing like that. That's a good, I feel like that's a good potential play at tight end is Noah Fant. Would you agree to that? Before we get into Trent's tight end,
I'll watch a couple games first.
All right. I was looking for a hot take here.
Well, here's the deal, Phil.
Last
week, Phil, we said DJ Moore versus DK Metcalf, and guess who Seth picked?
He did not.
He did. Yeah.
That makes me sick, Seth. Are you still cheering for the Hawks this year, or you changing up the team?
He's changing.
No, I'm not like you, Phil.
You're the only guy who changes teams in your favorite.
That's not true. I have 2 favorite teams: the Seahawks and the Lions. All right, let's move on.
What happened to the Raiders?
I also do like the Jets. I'm fired up for the Jets this year, but I will say I was 2 years early on the Jets. Let's go over to Trent with one of his dudes. I'm sure he's going to be like, this guy's all grit. Like I love his hair. Like just give us your pick.
Just please shut your mouth. Okay, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Sleeper. Sleeper's the absolute best place to play fantasy football, guys. They got dynamic payouts. They got league chats. They got all that good stuff over there at Sleeper. It's my favorite place to play fantasy football. And actually today I had 4 leagues that got canceled over the off season. And it finally hit me today that they didn't get renewed. I was reaching out to commissioners, all people I don't really know, but it was real easy to delete those leagues out. And I came home. I thought I was going to come home smelling like roses, tell my wife like, hey, I just dropped 4 fantasy football leagues, got it down from, I'm down now in 7. So if someone wants to do the math for me on that, but yeah, she didn't care that much. So she said I should probably only be in 1 or 2, which leads me to another.
Where I thought you were going with that, Trent, was that you were going to say, I got rid of 4 leagues. Now I have more money to put in deposit in the Sleeper. That's what I thought you were going with.
Promo code dudes100, and they'll match you up to $100, guys. They got all that fun stuff there. But I did a poll on X, is what I'm saying. And the poll on X was, what is the right number of fantasy football leagues, guys? So I said 1. I said 2 to 3 or 4. So I wanted to know what you guys thought was the right number of fantasy football leagues. I'll go with you first, Jordan, see what you have to say.
Are we talking like Dynasty included? Because I don't really count.
I feel like Dynasty doesn't really count. But let's just say
just all leagues, leagues in general.
I'll just throw all league because that's kind of what I said. I said, how many fantasy football leagues is just right? So I said 1, 2 to 3, or 4 plus.
I think.
What do you think?
I think
Jordan?
For me, I think the sweet spot is like 1 to 2 redraft leagues. I think no more than 2 redraft leagues. And then I almost think the number doesn't matter on dynasty leagues. I guess that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think, maybe like you don't want 10. Maybe more than 5 would be too many for dynasty. Dynasty's just different. Like it's
a little easier.
I don't know. It's a little easier. You're building. It's year over year building. Like drafts are very like there's not as much to them, right?
Less waivers.
And you can invest in it. It's a long-term investment a little bit more. And I've actually heard of some different cool payouts with Dynasty, which is even like even more kind of cool ways to do it. But yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah. What do you
I love
think,
how you
Phil?
tell us about the more cool ways, and then you don't tell us what the more cool ways are.
Yeah,
there's just
well,
more
I was
cool ways
going-
of getting
I was
paid in
honest,
Dynasty.
Crypto.
And
I'll be honest,
yeah,
I was gonna go into it, and then like I kind of forgot what exactly. I
like not safe
remembered
for
I'd
work,
heard about cool ways, and I couldn't remember how to explain the cool ways. So
like packs of cigarettes or something like that. Like not
Yeah.
safe
No,
for
it's
work.
like
Pay
where
everybody
the
with
pot-
bubble gum.
where the pot like rolled over or something every year, but I can't remember exactly how. It
Oh,
works.
okay. Yeah.
I say I am in 3. I think 3 is enough. I actually was in a league that when Trent posted on Twitter that he ended a league, 4 leagues, I was hoping there's one that I am in with him that was actually ending, and in fact it didn't.
These were all dynasties that got axed.
Yeah, I am in a
For what's-
dynasty league with you.
So
Yeah.
if you're in a dynasty league with me and it didn't get axed, like, hey man, more time for
That's
me in the
weird.
chat. You know,
It's
I'll be
weird that people are
slipping into those
axing dynasty
DMs.
leagues. It's weird to me.
Yeah.
Anyhow, yeah. So I say 3. I have
3 total, including
I
dynasty.
think you should always have one less than the amount of children that you have, which I know is a big task, right?
No, that's so
Are you,
So
you want me to
Jordan
go
should not be
-1,
playing at
Phil?
all.
-1? Is
No,
that what you're
But if
saying?
you have no kids, then the ceiling is unlimited. So if you have
Then you're
no
not
kids, ceiling
enough.
is unlimited. But then if you have 4 kids, you should only have 3 dynasty leagues. If you have 2 kids, you should probably be maybe let's call it the amount of kids you have is the amount of dynasty leagues you should be in. And honestly, I bet you if you did the math on that, it's probably pretty close to like what you can actually manage.
So this is what I'll say.
And
It's
also,
like-
there's no way that you should thought you were coming home smelling like roses after you melted American cheese over your enchilada at lunch.
Ooh.
I will.
What do you think
say
about that
I'm
take?
I'm trying to go to church, like
Okay.
not just like right now. I'm saying like when I'm going to church and you have 11 lineups you have to go through and like see if guys are starting and sitting. It's very hard to get that all done by 10 o'clock.
I know it's crazy to wake up at like 6 a.m. before church.
Phil, you can wake up at 6 a.m. Sometimes guys get benched at like 9:45 or 9:50.
That is
or-
not true, Trent. You
Yes,
get
it is.
inactives at 8:30. Inactives come out an hour and a half
Oh,
before 10.
Whatever
Inactives
it is,
come out at
I-
8:30.
To go through 11 leagues, it doesn't take 5 minutes, Jordan. Like I have to actually like search
Well, you should
guys.
know. You should know which guys are questionable. Like you
Yep.
should know. You have a
Preach.
good chance of knowing
You
who's
kinda
close
do.
to me.
That's really
Very
easy when you've
rare
never
guys
done more than
guys
4
inactive.
leagues, Jordan. That's
What?
real easy to do when you've only done 4
Trent.
leagues.
I build like 25 lineups every morning for DFS.
Yeah, and yeah, that's easier to not put a guy in who's injured. What I'm just saying is, when you have 11, it's hard through different apps. It's hard. It's a lot of like to get through and go all through all of them to make sure everyone's starting.
Here's what I will say. Here's where I'll agree with you, Trent. If not all of your leagues are on Sleeper, yes, absolutely. It makes it more different. It makes it more difficult. Like if you have one on ESPN or Yahoo, and then you have you have like 4 others on Sleeper, that is a nightmare. I think all leagues should be on Sleeper, flat out, period. I think that's the only way to go. But
Absolutely.
anyhow, Setherton,
Seth,
how many leagues
what are
do
you
think
in?
you should have? Are you in the same mind of me, like kids per league?
I'm in 2 dynasty and 2 redraft right now. There's one that's still pending a redraft. I don't think it's gonna happen though.
What happened? Bad breakup or what?
No, basically it's like respond if you want to do it, and some people responded, and don't respond if you don't want to do it, and then basically there's no answer if we're gonna do it or not. Like the commissioner just hasn't.
I'm sorry, man. This is the one you're the commissioner of, huh? That must be rough. Man.
No, I'm
sorry.
not the commissioner of it. I don't really care. It's one I don't really care to exist
Okay.
if it does or not, but I'll do it if it's there.
Okay. I think
Like it's
5
something
is
to eat.
Yeah, I think 5 is the perfect number. I think I would, and that's redraft and dynasty. I think 5 is a good manageable number. I'm in 7 right now, I believe is what I said, and I only have 1 on ESPN now. So I think 5 would be perfect. That I could just manage it and do it all pretty easily. 11 was really like I was overwhelmed, and I was in
For
I
the
think I was
record-
in 14 the year before, so like
Yeah,
I've been cutting it more and more.
For the record, like I should say how many I'm in. I'm only in 1 redraft and 2 dynasty, and I don't even know if one of the dynasty is like super low money. So like, well, maybe both dynasties are super low money actually. So
which one do you hate more? Is the one that you hate more with the people that you have on this podcast?
the one I hate more is the one where what the person next to you on the screen won't jump the money to a reasonable amount for a 30-year-old adult.
Seth, you are ridiculous.
Good thing I'm not freaking 30.
Oh,
No, but
shocker.
I
That shocks
actually,
no one.
for the record, I went from 2 to 1 on the redraft. I actually would rather have, and this is just me personally, I'd rather have more higher dollar, high stake, less leagues, but more entry, more money involved in the less leagues, right? So if you tell me you could have 5 leagues at, let's just say, a $50 a pop, I'd rather do 1 league with a $200 entry fee and 1 dynasty with a $50. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather just do 1 high stakes league compared to spreading out the leagues. But I also do that. I have a ton of best ball I put money in. I have Survivor I'm doing. I got DFS every morning, props every week. So it's just a lot going on, you know.
I've always
point,
wanted to
just
do a
a lot.
Survivor. I've never done it.
I can get you a guy's number right now if you want to do it, Trent.
Okay, I might
We'll
want to do
talk
that.
after.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right.
I won't be on for that. All right, let's move on here.
Thank the Lord.
Let's move on here. We're gonna have to go quick. We're at 42 minutes of recording time, and we will include the beginning part of this podcast. Trent, last time I listened to the podcast, you included like so much good information that I had dropped in there, and it makes me absolutely sick. The people come to this podcast for foolery, and if you're just putting fantasy stats, people are gonna be upset. So don't cut out the beginning.
Way. If you hear Phil talking, just be just thank just thank your bottom dollar that I didn't censor him like I should have. So
I've listened to too many pods where I've been Zuckerberged out of the whole podcast. So it's like
Zucked.
And that's your fault, Trent. Like, you basically are suppressing my outreach.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on here. Hey, Trent, go ahead. Let's talk about your tight end.
All right, I got George Kittle, guys. I love the ADPs at 66 right now. Brandon Aiyuk accounted for 24% of the 49ers targets last year. George Kittle is tight end 7 right now. Usually he's, going top 3 in these drafts. And I just think this is incredible value for George Kittle. I think if Aiyuk doesn't come, I think Kittle's going to be very good. And I think even if he doesn't, I still think like where you're getting George Kittle in these drafts, I think it's a slam dunk. And I think you got to take advantage of that. You can, maybe wait a little bit longer on tight end, get Kittle later. There's, some younger guys that are going earlier than him, but Kittle's just kind of old faithful. He's going to be there. He's going to finish top 10. And mostly it's just a value play where he's going. And if Aiyuk isn't there, I think he's going to be even better. The only thing that could mess this up is 49er fans. And 49er fans mess a lot of things up. But 49er fans, there's a lot of them at home drafts here on the West Coast. I feel like that's a pretty large fan base. His ADP might jump up a lot in redraft. Jordan, do you have his ADP in redraft? And what do you think of Kittle? Like, I just think for where you're getting Kittle, I still think he's going to have a good season.
So his overall PPR consensus 55, tied in number 6. Half point PPR 58.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm pretty close there. Yeah. What are you guys thinking on Kittle there? Is that just way too safe at tight end? You like Trey McBride better?
I guess like Kincaid and Kittle are like 6 spots apart. I just lean Kincaid there.
It makes sense.
I like getting Trey McBride in that 4th, 5th. I'll be interesting to see, the one downside to doing so many best balls is you kind of get locked into where guys are going in that. And this redraft I have on Thursday, it'll be interesting to see like where he goes, where tight ends go, where that tight end run happens in the redraft. It just happens.
Like once
one
goes, they're all gone. Like
I know
Kyle Pitts had some, water park photos released. I feel like that might be hurting draft stock. If you want to see why he's trending on that,
absolutely,
it's not bad, but like the guy was wearing a life jacket in the wave pool, and I think that's got to hurt your draft stock. So maybe it doesn't, maybe it does, but. What do you like?
And
George,
I want to.
What, Phil?
I mean, I've worn a life vest at our local pool, just for safety purposes. But what were you saying, Jordan?
No, just to give a take like on the Kittle. I don't hate it,
It's
Trent.
not. I'm
I
messing
don't
around.
necessarily. I'm
messing
kind of
around.
like
He's not.
indifferent, Trent, on the Kittle stuff. Like I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. It's good value. I do think this is one of the deepest tight end years we've had, so it kind of makes sense. Like I don't know. I think I'm like an Evan Ingram around lower. You can get Evan Ingram. I kind of lean there, but yeah, I don't hate it. I don't find myself with a lot of Kittle, but I don't hate
I've
it.
never been a Kittle tight end guy either. Like I usually get Mark Andrews as that guy, but it's like normally Kittle kind of goes almost before Mark Andrews. Maybe that's just because we're in 49er country.
Yeah, it's by far the
But,
lowest
yeah.
he's going this year.
Yeah, so the value looks too good. I think he's going to outperform that easily. So I don't think you can go wrong with
You
that.
think he can be a top 5 tight end then? You think he can be a top 5 tight end?
I think he'll find his way in there. And a lot of this is skeptical on what happens with Aiyuk. Like, what do you think happens with Aiyuk? If Ayuk's not there, that 24% of targets has to go somewhere.
Yeah, I know that's a big deal if Ayuk's not there. I think it's a little different.
So, and
I think
we still don't really know. But
yeah, we don't really know. And I thought you were going to say, he may be called to block a little bit more if Trent Williams is gone. That's what I actually
That's
thought you were
also
going
a
to say.
good point.
that's
too.
true. That's true too.
No one thought of that. I am a little bit of an analyst at time to time, outside of just being a simple host here. All right, moving on here. We have, I'm going to go with Seth, Josh Jacobs, my big 21-year-old buddy. What do you got to say about him?
Josh Jacobs. Okay. So in light of the recent news, I changed mine to Josh Jacobs.
I like it.
AJ Dillon, IR. Okay. He's
Season
done.
ending, right?
Season ending. Yep.
Yeah.
he's
That's
done.
what IR means usually.
It's 6
No,
games,
that's-
actually.
It's 6 games, Trent. And also,
Make me sick.
I think they're drafted Marshawn Lloyd, their rookie they drafted, avoided. Looked like he was likely to be on like IR to start the season, which would be 6 games. But it seems like he's still injured with a hamstring, but he's not going to be on IR. So we really don't know what the timetable is. We just know it's going to be less than 6 weeks. Regardless, if we think the Packers are going to be a good offense, Josh Jacobs is going to be good. He has proven that he can be a bell cow back on a bad team on the Raiders. And I think if the Packers are good, which I do think there's a chance they're going to be competitors. I don't know how good, but they will be scoring points. Josh Jacobs is going to benefit from that. I don't know if he has the crazy season like he did at in Las Vegas, but he definitely will have a good season this year. I think he has a decent amount of chance to work out of the backfield to catching passes from Jordan Love. The only thing I think that can hurt is how the game scripts will be going for the Packers. If they're down in games, I think it's going to be harder for him. But if they are close or they're winning games, he's going to have a great season. Which I think it's kind of going to be, there's going to be a lot of close games with the Packers, I believe.
I really like Jacobs with the injuries. I think that helps.
Just no one
They've
behind
shown
him
that
anymore.
It shows that their coach will run the ball. He's not afraid to just run the ball. I know it's kind of the Jordan Love show, but I think this is going to help Jordan Love too. I'm just curious to see what this ADP shoots up to, Jordan. We got a big draft on Thursday. Like, you think Jacobs gets into that? It's kind of going like
too high.
You think it
might
overcorrect?
overcorrect? Yeah, might overcorrect.
It might go
too high. I like on service level. I agree with Seth. I didn't have much Jacobs. I didn't really like Jacobs before. Shoot, I was thinking about making him a dud yesterday when I was looking at it. But the injury's a big deal. AJ Dillon going out. I really don't know if they'll rely on a rookie too much. I know he's not on IR, but like,
well, he has a fumbling history too at USC. Lloyd fumbled a lot. So like when you're, milking the clock out, you're going to go with the guy who has a fumble history, or you're going to go with the guy you signed over the
you're
offseason?
just going to rely on your veteran on a good team.
Yeah.
So, I like it. I think it's a huge bump. The AJ Dillon going out is a huge bump for Jacobs.
I think it's a bump for the Packers too. Like the back and forth that they had with backs there, I actually don't think benefited them. Like I don't know what the benefit was by swapping those backs in and out. Like I think it caused the offense to slow down a little bit. I think with just having one back, it probably going to be a little bit better there.
I do think that Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon were different kind of running backs, but I think that Jacobs and Dillon are more similar than they were different. You know, like Aaron Jones was kind of a pass catching guy and more
But
versatile.
do you feel like they were complimentary though? I didn't. I just felt like it was just like cool. You know, like it wasn't like
I think they were more complimentary than maybe you think they were, but
okay, that's fine. All right, well, moving on. Now that we're talking here, you know, Xavier Worthy. I'm shocked that you have him here. You're welcome. And yeah, let's hear about it.
yeah, no, this was the guy that I was talking about, Trent. Like you talked about, who was the first guy you talked about? I'm blanking.
Diontae Johnson.
Yeah, Diontae Johnson or Xavier Worthy. Like I can get Xavier Worthy in the same spot. Worthy was one of my biggest winners of the preseason just because there was so much hype that went on with him, you know, and like the preseason kind of validated that hype. Mahomes looked for him early and often in his limited amount of playing time. You can tell Mahomes trusts him. They got a real connection. Like that connection for me was validated. There was a lot of stuff that happened on the offseason about, oh, they're working out a bunch. He's gonna look to him all the time. Well, that was validated. Hit a couple really nice plays in the preseason, long touchdowns. And I get it. There's guys there. They got him. They got Rashee Rice. They got Hollywood Brown. They got Travis Kelce. They re-signed Juju Smith-Schuster. Don't really worry about that. I just think it helps them. All the talent around him. Teams are not going to they're not going to be able to double team him. They're not going to be able to leave that safety up high to give the corner help. I think he's going to get a lot of man coverage on an island. He's going to be the deep threat for Mahomes. And we know if Mahomes would chuck the ball to Justin Watson every game, he's going to chuck the ball to Xavier Worthy. I really think Xavier Worthy has the potential and the talent to be like a top 20 wide receiver. And best ball ADP of 69. I have an ADP of like wide receiver 37. Like I think he's being drafted about 20 spots too low in his position group. Probably quite a bit lower ADP wise too overall. So I really like Xavier Worthy. You know that one of these guys is going to crush with Patrick Mahomes this year. You know, there's three very talented wide receivers. One's going to crush. I'm going to put my money on Xavier Worthy because I like where you can draft him. I think Rashee Rice goes a little bit too high. I think Hollywood is good value, assuming you think he gets healthy. I think Xavier Worthy's right in that sweet spot, though, where like you can get him as like your fourth wide receiver. You know, maybe your third wide receiver, or maybe you go like a running back up high, and then he's like your third wide receiver. There's a lot of constructions where you can go like running back early or wide receiver running back. Like say you take like a AJ Brown and then come back with like a Jahmyr Gibbs, and then you go another wide receiver, maybe like a DJ Moore, and then you can grab like a tight end, like a Kincaid or a McBride, and then get in the fifth round, go Worthy, or maybe even like a McLaurin Worthy. And so that's like your first six guys, stuff like that. Like I like Worthy. I think he's in that sweet spot, that fifth, sixth round. So I just think he's the guy. He's going to be that guy for Mahomes this year.
And we don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice. They brought in Juju Smith-Schuster maybe because Rashee Rice.
It sounds like Rashee might. I don't know. Did they release something today here?
I didn't see anything
about Rashee Rice about maybe getting 0 suspension because it's his first offense. I'm not sure.
Did Jordan Addison have more than one offense?
I think this is his second. No, he sped last year. Remember, he went like 120 because his dog had an emergency, and now he had the DUI this year. So that's why they're going harder at Addison. But
yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and Kadarius Toney got cut today, so that was another guy that So
much for getting backfield snaps.
We'll miss him for the memes on X. So yeah, and I think Worthy is better than Kadarius Toney by a lot.
Oh, it's not even close.
Yeah. But what do we want to go next to? What do we got next?
Do you want to go duds here?
Yeah, let's hop into the duds.
So let's hop into some duds. I'm going to go, Seth, you've kind of been the meat of the sandwich, so to say, the guy right in the middle. But I'm going to start with you here. Seth, you have a dud that at running back here, which is interesting because I think he might be the only guy there. But I want to hear this running back dud for you.
So this one really sparked my interest. I think in a home league, he got taken late in the second round, and I was able to get Drake London because of this stupid pick. But anyways, it was obviously drafted well above ADP, even in best ball here. Which is interesting, Trent, is from your pulling of the best ball 42 ADP, I'm seeing in redraft he's going at 33. So it's showing the disparity there between best ball and redraft. But anyways, James Cook, if I can just go through some stats here, and some projections. So what his underdog props at 4.5 touchdowns and 950 rushing yards. Okay, 950 rushing yards is not terrible, but if you're not paired with rushing touchdowns as a starting NFL running back, that really pushes me away from you, because if you can't get the yards, you got to get the touchdowns, and it doesn't really seem like he's going to get much of either. And let me just throw this out here too. When your quarterback's going to be taking away 500 rushing yards like he's projected to get, and also 9.5 rushing touchdowns, that really pushes me away, because if you had a Patrick Mahomes on this Bills offense, guess who's getting those rushing touchdowns? James Cook, and his rushing touchdown prop is now probably 10 and not 4.5. And so anytime I see something like that, it severely pushes me away from it. I don't even care about the receiving upside. And even how they used him in the past, not in the red zone at all. It's either a different running back or it's Josh Allen. I'm just going to stay away. I don't think it's worth the risk. I think he's a talented player, but how the Bills use him and how Josh Allen likes to take games into his own hands, I'm going to stay away.
And it's a lot of positive feedback about Ray Davis is kind of that red zone guy. And they even they cut Frank Gore Jr. today, so it's kind of a bummer. We are recording this on Tuesday. I probably should have mentioned that a lot earlier. And I have all these timestamp too. I've been going to the timestamp. If you want to skip around, see what's there, go back to stuff, listen to it later. But yeah, the rushing touchdowns is the problem with James Cook. That's the main thing. Maybe he gets a little bit better, but the rushing touchdowns is the only reason I kind of give it to you, Seth. The ADP, I think I'd just rather wait and get other guys rather than getting James Cook.
Yeah,
I don't know what you think, Jordan.
It's just a stay away. I mean, I'm not drafting running backs in that part of the draft. So
42. Okay. All right. What do we got next, Phil? If there's anything else you guys want to add on it?
No. I think that's it. Trent, let's go with you and your dud.
All right. This one hurts. It really does, because, huge X following, got us lots of followers last year, whole season. And even this year, I kept him in one league because I got to keep him in round 15. But Achane going at ADP of 19, I just think it's too rich for a guy that we're just not sure how many carries he's going to get a game. I think Mostert is still going to be involved there. They have the rookie there. But it's too much where he's going. He's going in the second round, high in second round. I'm sure he's going higher in redraft than he is on best ball. But I'm staying away from Achane because the volume I don't feel like is quite good enough, and it's not guaranteed. And the offensive line's gotten beat up too, or not beat up. They lost some offensive linemen. So I know he had all those explosive plays. It just doesn't seem like it can keep going. And this is the most this guy, more people are torn over than any other guy in fantasy football. I feel like people either love him or they hate him. I like him. I just don't like where he's going, and that's where I'm staying away. And maybe I'm wrong. He's going to have blow-up games. I just don't know if the consistency, and what's he weigh, like 175 pounds, 185 pounds. I don't know if he's built to last a whole entire season, built to make get carry after carry. I think they're going to limit the volume a little bit too. So, and he didn't catch that many passes last year either. And he wasn't on, and I know he didn't play the whole season, but he wasn't on pace to catch that many either. So I'm out on Devin Achane last year, even though I was so heavily invested in him last season. I feel like we're kind of the same on that, guys. I don't know if anyone's like, no, you're crazy, Achane's good, or what are you thinking, Jordan? It's just too rich of a draft price for you to not want to be in on him, or?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I mean, last year we just got incredible value on him, and it was awesome. But I think it's overcorrected way too high this year. I just, I just can't do it, And there's a lot of injury risk with him. There's just a lot of guys back there. I wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Wright's the new Devin Achane this year. And at the end of the day, they're going to throw the ball a ton too. So. He is very explosive, and it could come back to bite us.
Yeah.
I just think that ADP is too high.
I think when it comes to his ADP in that area, I'm drafting a receiver 100% of the time. There's less risk, and you're like almost guaranteed volume with those guys you're picking there. It's an easy choice for me.
All right.
Cool.
So that's what I got with my first set. What do you got here, Jordan?
So Jordan, let's move over to Jordan with your running back here.
Running back sets.
Yep.
Yeah, I got Kyren Williams. Let's see here. I like on the surface, like I do like Kyren. Like I think he's a good running back. He's fun to watch. He does a lot of good stuff. But it's kind of like Achane, where I just think he's being drafted too high. RB7. I have him at 17 overall. You have him at 20 on the best ball ADP, Trent. And my biggest thing is he's being drafted off of what he did last year, and he was extremely, extremely efficient. 15 total touchdowns in 12 games. That's just not sustainable. Over a touchdown a game. It's hard to repeat that, And my biggest concerns are health. He's missed parts of both of his first 2 seasons. And the Rams invested a 3rd-round pick in Blake Corum. That's a high investment for a running back. 3rd round is not just something to slouch out. So that tells me that whether they don't believe fully in Kyren, or they don't believe he can be healthy, or they don't believe he can carry the load. Historically, McVay has been like a one running back guy, but the coach speak kind of seems to trend towards him being kind of more happy with the committee this year. I don't know if you guys saw today that Kyron's going to be the punt returner. And they kind of asked him why. And they said that because he thinks that he's very confident in what Blake Corum and Ronnie Rivers can do behind him to spell Kyren. So I actually think that like Blake Corum is a lot better value than Kyren when you're drafting. And I kind of have quite a decent amount of Blake Corum in best ball. I don't know if you need to get there in redraft, but you never know. But yeah, I think there's going to be committee this year. I question whether he can stay healthy. And he might be a good football player this year, and he might end up with a decent year. I just don't know if he's a 2nd-round draft pick.
Who was the last running back first starting running back in the NFL that we saw return punts? This hasn't happened in a while.
Hold on.
Look it up, Phil.
No, but I mean, it just tells you that they don't, especially for a guy who's been hurt, right? Like he's been hurt the last couple of years.
I want to say DJ Dallas was a punt returner.
He didn't start.
Not a starting running back.
Not starting running back. We're talking, Phil. We're talking a surefire guy who was one of the best running backs in the NFL last year.
Yeah. Like Marshall Faulk, I don't think returned punts. He might have done a couple. Brian Westbrook, I think, was kicks, but I don't know if it's got to be like, did Brian Mitchell play running back? Like it's been a while since our running back's been your punt returner. You're asking a guy.
I just tells you that they're going to use Blake Corum a decent amount, I think.
Yeah. No, the punt return thing, and you had this on there before that got announced. When I saw the punt return thing, I'm just like, man, I don't know. Usually that's a receiver might be out there, maybe a corner. It's usually not your starting running back.
Your backup receiver.
Starting running back, the big deal. But punt returning might be one of the harder things to do in the NFL, though.
Absolutely.
And like if you got a guy that can just do it, maybe there's just not a guy who can do it. I don't know who did punts for them last year, who did punt returns. So maybe it's just like, hey, this is by far our best option, because that's not something that like a lot of guys even want to do. You know, that was one of the things Des Bryant did it, you know, the first couple of years in the league. Like that's kind of a big deal. But other than that, that's like the first,
actually, I would say a lot of guys
I saw.
A lot of guys like doing it, but if they're starters, they probably don't love it just because they'd rather play their normal position. I mean, being a punt return is pretty cool, but getting hurt while punt returning is not. All right, let's go. I think we have 3 more guys to cover. You guys just want to rapid fire these dudes here?
Yeah, we can rapid fire a little bit. Who do you got next?
All right, Trent. We have Trent and Malik Nabers.
I put Malik Nabers up there because I honestly, I think he's really good. I love him for Dynasty. I just don't trust Daniel Jones enough, even though I know this guy's get peppered with targets. He looks really good. I actually think he might end up being the best wide receiver in this class over Marvin Harrison. I'm just not taking a rookie wide receiver with Daniel Jones throwing him the ball with an ADP of 32. I'm guessing his redraft is a little higher than that, like maybe 38-ish, Jordan. But yeah, I'm not interested in rookie wide receiver that's unproven with Daniel Jones throwing him the ball. That's the biggest deal. Even though he looks like a freak, he's making all kinds of plays. The volume will be there. I just don't know if it's good volume. Not all offenses are created equal, but I know you like Nabers a lot, Jordan.
I'm seeing 49 Trent in redraft and half point.
49. I have him at 32.
Yeah, so I mean, like there's a decent gap there, but to be honest, Trent, I couldn't probably disagree with you more on this one. And the reason why, I understand that, like, I was fully on board with you at 2 months ago.
He looks good.
Daniel Jones, I don't trust him, but I've come around on him more just because, one, he's the guy there. They're gonna force feed him the ball. I think they're gonna be creative with them, but two, he's really talented and he's the guy, like I talked about Diontae Johnson, where like he's the guy. Diontae Johnson's the guy who needs an accurate quarterback. Nabers doesn't need one. He's go up and get it guy. He go up and get it. He's gonna catch balls that he probably shouldn't catch. He's gonna catch balls that are out of his vicinity. I just don't know if the quarterback play will affect him as much because he's such an athletic freak. He's gonna go up and get balls. I mean, he made a couple catches in the preseason and in the game that Daniel Jones played that were pretty impressive. So, and I think Daniel Jones will get better as the year goes on. So yeah, I'm pretty high. I'm higher on Nabers, and I don't mind him at all as like a wide receiver 3 on your team.
Okay.
So looking at guys in that area, what is it with Nabers? What I say he was at wide receiver? What? He's at 32. So would you rather have DJ Moore or Malik Nabers?
I would lean DJ Moore.
Would you rather have Mike Evans or Malik Nabers?
Malik Nabers. Malik Nabers is a younger version of Mike Evans.
No, that's true. Malik Nabers or Devonta Smith?
Nabers.
Malik Nabers or Rashee Rice?
Nabers.
Okay.
You're talking about a number 1 wide receiver who go up and get a guy super explosive on a team that's going to be trailing. They're going to be down. They're going to have to They're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit.
Yeah. What about Nabers or McLaurin?
Nabers.
Okay. All right.
Now they're being drafted. That's like I think they're being drafted pretty far apart.
It's about 10 picks between Nabers and McLaurin.
Yeah, it depends what type
12.
of league you're into, but I like getting both those guys on the same team, Trent. I think that's very doable.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, it is doable to get those 2 guys. So, all right. Who do we got next here?
Yes, sir. All right. We have I'm gonna go with Jordan. I don't love this pick, as you know, but
I think still
and you accused me of deleting it for you on accident. But I wasn't in the sheet. Wasn't me. Seth also confirmed that it wasn't him. So we feel like it might be Trent. But
see, Jordan, I actually made this graphic while we were on the pod because I had no idea who it was.
I'm pretty sure I had him on there, and then I went back and checked today. and he wasn't on there anymore. So
I just figured you were going to surprise us with Derrick Henry for the 9th year in a row, but
hater.
Right.
Yeah, so I got Michael Pittman as a dud here. I just don't really like where he's being drafted. Being drafted a wide receiver 22, 34 over. I mean, the 34 overall is just crazy to me. Unless I read that wrong, which I might have read that wrong, but let me look here. Yeah, 37 overall and half-point PPR. I wide receiver 18 and half-point PPR. I'll admit he's probably a better full-point PPR guy. There just doesn't seem like a ton of upside with him, especially when it comes to touchdowns. He's been pretty consistent, about 4 touchdowns the last 2 years. And I get someone could say the same thing about Terry McLaurin, who I have as a dude, but I just think that Pittman's played with better quarterbacks in his career. He played almost the whole season with Matt Ryan. I think Gardner Minshew is better than any of the quarterbacks that Terry McLaurin's played with. So that's kind of the reason. They're kind of very similar guys, but that's the reason I have Terry McLaurin as a kind of a dude and Pittman as a dud. And then, to be honest, I'm Jaden Daniels over Anthony Richardson, and I kind of question Richardson's ability to get in the ball consistently. I don't think he's the quarterback that can unlock the upside of Michael Pittman. I just don't see touchdown equity. In the red zone, they're going to have Jonathan Taylor. Richardson has some touchdown equity of his own on the ground. So, I agree, Trent. I think I'm lower on Richardson than you are. I agree that he has some fantasy potential there. I just question if he can unlock a receiver's upside. I think Jaden Daniels has the ability to unlock Terry McLaurin's upside more than Richardson has the ability to unlock Michael Pittman. And Pittman is going 15 spots higher than Terry McLaurin, quite a bit higher than Terry McLaurin and Xavier Worthy, guys like that. And I straight up prefer those guys over Pittman. So
he finished wide receiver 15 last year in half point. I
think he gets a worse quarterback this year.
When
it comes to throwing the football,
okay,
and moving the ball down the field through the air, they're gonna be a ground heavy offense this year.
Yeah, but you don't think that'll open him up a little bit for
you still have to make an accurate throw.
Phil, I watched Richardson for
I didn't. He
looked awesome his first drive of the preseason, and then was downright horrible throwing the football for the next 2 drives. It was bad. And but here's my thing. Pittman's not a deep shot guy. They're gonna go off play action, right? They're gonna work the ground game, play action. They're gonna get him moving out of the pocket. Pittman's not the guy that goes deep. He's like a possession wide receiver. I wish I could pull up his ADOT. Let me see if I can pull that up. If you guys want to talk
ADOT
a little bit.
making a comeback here on the pod.
And that used to be Phil's favorite word of all time was ADOT.
I know, because I use it all the time.
Named his dog
I don't
that.
use it as much anymore.
He killed it.
It's close to idiot.
Yards. So I have his. Yeah, this is. I don't have his yards per target. I don't know his ADOT per se, but his yards per reception is 10. I mean, that's not a ton. McLaurin's is 14 for his career. It was 13 last year. I mean, the 3 yards is Pittman's for his career. Yards per reception is 11. So that's pretty standard for him. 9 and 10 the last couple years.
Yeah.
I don't
think
think
short
he's
yardage
that guy. He's a possession guy, So, and I don't think Anthony Richardson is the guy who's gonna I don't know.
Yeah, and Pittman's not a yak guy. He goes down on first contact 84% of the time. So he's a possession guy.
Interesting.
So you're just gonna get, he's very good though on these routes. His on the slant route, he's 84%. Success rate, comeback 83, out route 75%.
Would you agree, Trent, that those are the throws that Richardson might struggle the most with?
Yeah, the comeback and the corner
the
route
throws in the middle of the field, right?
Yeah. So, very successful on screen passes. So maybe that's something.
Yeah,
So for Pittman to get there, he has to probably catch about 8 balls for 90 yards to 100 yards because he's not really scoring touchdowns. You think Richardson can do that? Like, you think Richardson's the guy that can kind of get him that on a consistent basis?
If it turns into like maybe a broken play type stuff, like I have actually gotten lower on Richardson since I've seen him play in preseason, but I still think that with his rushing ability, he can still get,
for sure.
So
it's just kind of where I think that's where Pittman's being drafted. It's also just really the Colts in general, I think, are being drafted just too high for me personally.
And Pittman, I don't know, like. It seems like if I ever want to get Pittman, I always had the opportunity to get him, and I never do, and I've regretted it every year. I don't know if this is the year I finally just say I'm going for it, but I'm not really like going out of my way to get it. It'd have to be really good value.
I think he's very safe. Safe. Like his floor is probably high, but like you're trying to win a league. Like I don't know
he's
if
not
safe
a blow up
gets the
guy.
job done. The safe doesn't
guy.
win you your league. So yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Do we have one more here?
Yeah. Last but certainly not least, Seth, we have yours.
Okay. This one is strictly also going off. Oh, man. So this one could really come back to bite me because Stefon Diggs has been really good and has proven to be really good, but he did have that weird end of the year last year where he was just terrible. The Bills weren't throwing him the ball. He wasn't making plays. Now, the interesting part about this is I am super high on Tank Dell, and I think Tank Dell is going to command a lot more than what he's projecting for. And so I do think that's going to bump down Stefon Diggs' numbers. I do think he's going to be a big part of the offense here in Houston, but I think Tank Dell is going to be taking his role. And I think I would prefer to draft Tank Dell around later than where Stefon Diggs is going because he's not going that far behind Nico Collins, which is a little crazy to me. The big playability in the offense of Houston is Tank Dell, and I think he can do all the same things Stefon Diggs can do. I think he can be a possession, and he has big playability. He's just a younger version of it. I do think Nico Collins is still the number one there as a possession guy. He's also the biggest target in the wide receiver room. But I think partly is just maybe I just think Tank Dell's better than Stefon Diggs to maybe that's why he's a dud. I just don't think he's worth his ADP spot there when you can get Tank Dell around later and get basically more than what you are getting for Stefon Diggs with.
All right.
It's crazy that just real quick. It's crazy. Stefon Diggs' ADP has risen over the last month.
I figured it would the closer we got with preseason.
But it doesn't make any. Is it name value only? Like
I think name value.
He's gonna
the
have
more
the
people
most
who draft,
the most competition for targets he's ever had in his career.
True.
And it's not really close. So I don't really get it. But CJ Stroud's a darling. I mean, people love CJ Stroud, and so I think people just want pieces of that offense, And I think we're the opposite on this pod. We kind of don't want anybody in that offense. So I think it's going to be so spread out. But yeah, I don't know. I'm
leaning Collins more and more just because of the pay and stuff like that.
It's just,
but I'm not.
But like
him. I'm saying he's be the one more.
He's such a spike year last year that like.
What do you think of them letting go of Noah Brown? It's just a crowded room. You think they think Mechie's the guy? Like to be
I think they're gonna try to get Mechie. I mean, he was like a second round draft pick. So
yeah,
I mean, it makes sense that they kind of want to see what they have in him.
Well, I think they're gonna want to try to keep all three of these guys. They know Stefon Diggs ain't gonna stay around for a long. He's 30 years old, and
they still got Robert Woods still there. Trent, you got the corpse of Robert Woods still there.
Yeah. And they also have Xavier Hutchinson too. So like I think there's a lot of young guys they want to have just keep around. And I think they're, obviously these old guys are going to rotate out in the next few years.
I love that Jordan's always saying the ghost of, X.
The corpse, the ghost. Yeah.
Just wait till we get to Halloween. all the stuff he talks about, like Undertaker, all the weird
Phil,
stuff.
Did you know that Jameson Crowder was still in the NFL when I mentioned him?
I didn't.
I did.
Yeah, it's like literally close to Jameson Crowder might play football this year.
Probably also didn't know who Jameson Crowder was.
I thought that was the that Christian artist that
Stephen Curtis Chapman. Yeah. So guys, just recapping all our starts and sits here. I think we've gone long enough to not do divas. We got Diontae Johnson, George Kittle as my start. Seth starts Drake London, Josh Jacobs. Jordan's were Terry McLaurin, Xavier Worthy. Duds, I had Achane and Nabers. Seth had James Cook and Stefon Diggs. Jordan had Kyron Williams and Michael Pittman. It is a kind of missed opportunity. It's PSL season, pumpkin spice latte. Didn't put anything on X. Phil, I think has already gotten a couple.
PSL. No, I haven't. I wanted to get, I don't know if they do iced. I'm all in on the PSL. They let it out. I think it was like August, 15th. It's been about
early.
2 weeks. Seems a little
premature.
bit early. Although when it was opened up, I was in the Pacific Northwest. I was up in, just north of Seattle. I should have enjoyed one because it was nice, brisk weather. I had to wear a sweatshirt. It felt very fallish. The leaves were changing. I should have had a PSL that day, and I failed to, and it's a regret of mine. I will say that.
Can we push the end stream button already?
Right.
You and Trent can talk about the Survivor League. Seth, just a heads up, if you hang up at the same time I do, these guys can just talk to each other for the rest of the evening and we don't have to deal with it.
It's true.
Actually, both of them would be my diva of the week.
It's weird. I've come back on here and like Trent was just talking to himself. It happens.
Yeah. Then you woke up. Anyways,
and it's like Gollum. It's like Gollum. He sounds like Gollum talking to
this is stupider than okay. All right. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Remember, don't be rude. Share the dudes really helps us out. Good luck in your drafts here this month. We'll see you next week. And as always, take care.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.